Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's episode of Hey Sister. Hey Sister, how you doing?
Hello, sister. I'm doing fine. Just preparing for the show.
It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas.
Oh, that's nice.
Eh, right?
I said that's
That's how you.
nice.
It's nice. Hey Jody. Woo! If you are tuning in, yes, Christina, the face. I don't know if that's a good or the bad or girl, what you saying with that face. One thing we have been told, the face never lies. All right.
It does not.
How you doing, sister?
You know, I just sit in states of perplex at times. I am confusion, as they say, because right before this call, before we started, I got some crazy phone calls. I'm trying to catch up on the stuff. It's But it's the holidays.
It's the holidays. I
Yeah.
do. I can't remember the those lyrics.
Well,
It's the happiest season. So here's one of the things. One of the things about having worked in retail is that you know a lot of Christmas songs.
Gotcha.
And through my college years, I worked at the Gap, and
Yes.
I know the infamous Saturday Night Live sketch with just cinch it with the belt. Yes, I worked at the Gap, so honey, I know all of the songs. There's even a hour long documentary on Netflix right now about last Christmas I gave you my heart, but the very next day you gave it away. How you gonna do a whole documentary on that one song?
I don't know what the
Clearly
premise.
it's been done and clearly it's been sold. Okay.
Right.
I
And
mean,
clearly there was enough content. Was it a 30, 60
I didn't
minute?
watch it, girl. I think it was an hour and 2 minutes. So I mean, they did something. I mean, they've already had we've already had a doc on Wham. We've had a doc on George Michael by himself. So how we get a doc on one song, I don't know. But anyway, y'all are tuning live to Hey Sister tonight. Make sure you like, follow, share, subscribe. Go ahead and text it to your friends. Send them the link on the YouTube, Facebook. Tell them to join the conversation in the comments. And also subscribe to our website so you'll never miss an episode, and check out our merchandise there. So my sister she's on a little bit of a struggle bus as we prepare to have a conversation this evening. Why, sister? Because
the world is worlding. But listen, you just had me think of something.
uh-huh.
Has there been a Milli Vanilli documentary?
Yes, I think so. I'm gonna search that while you are talking about
Because
why.
I was just thinking, when I was at home, they were playing a Milli Vanilli song, and your mom and I were having a conversation, and I was like, yeah, one of the guys committed suicide, and like how tough it was for them after they had the whole it just amazes me what is scandalous now that we look back, hindsight being 2020, by the way. I don't mean to be rude, okay? But Kenya Moore, hindsight is not 50-50. It's 2020 because it's 2020 vision. Okay.
Oh, child,
I don't know why you said 50-50, sis. But she said it loud and proud on the Tamron Hall show. And I was like, baby, it's not 50-50. You're right. Hindsight is, she said hindsight is 50-50. It is not. It's 2020. But anyway.
Well, honey, there is a Milli Vanilli documentary. You can find it on Paramount Plus. We just dropped that link in there. If you are a subscriber, go ahead on and watch it. Tell us all about it. And you can also watch the trailer. See, maybe that's something we're going to watch and talk about over Christmas.
We have to, because I am just perplexed that was such a big scandal. Like again, hindsight, such a big scandal. recently I was looking at something about with Vanessa Williams, and I was like, such a big scandal. My good sis had won that pageant, Miss USA, and they just stripped her and just scandalized her name, and the fact that she was able to come back so strong. And obviously, I mean, there's generations of people who have no idea, but I was just like, not today, you know, you got WAP.
Yeah, absolutely. And but also now today you have see the thing with and how she was able to recover is because she was talented.
Oh yeah, the talent couldn't be denied.
You know, the talent could not be denied, and so I think that was part of why she was able to come back, though,
Right.
and have a successful career, go on Broadway, do all the things, right? She was able to do all of that because the talent was undeniable. But as you said, we have talentless people out here.
And I was not saying that they I like me some Cardi B and I like me some Meg Thee Stallion. So I'm not saying
and I'm not talking about them specifically. I'm just saying we have talentless people out here who you know,
are doing well financially.
Doing well financially, but I'm just saying they've thrown out all lines and all limits. I mean, you know, so
right, which is brings me back to the whole Milli Vanilli thing, because I'm like, I mean, the dudes were lip syncing, and that was terrible, I guess. But at the same time, like, lip syncing is like a natural part of a performance at this point. Now, obviously, if it skips, it's drag skips, it kind of makes it a challenge. But it has become a natural part of performances. So I don't know. That just made me think of that. All right, since you were saying Wham, that was around that time era.
Oh yeah, honey, the 80s.
Yeah.
What do you remember from the 80s? Because you were young, you're younger than I am. So what are your memories of the 80s?
It's gonna sound all terrible.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the 90s was fly, but the 80s felt like
trash.
Yeah, it felt like I mean, being in Louisiana, it felt like the oil industry was terrible. It felt like there was the crack epidemic. So when we went to visit our relatives in California, it felt like there was a big shift there. Felt like we went to a lot of funerals in the 80s.
Yeah.
But there was Madonna and Prince and Michael Jackson too. So, you know, those were the beautiful things.
There was MTV, the birth of MTV, man.
There was BET when they played videos too.
There was BET and Donnie Simpson with his beautiful eyes, and there was Midnight Soul and all the things that made BET great.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. But ain't none of that's what we were planning to talk about tonight. Right now, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. So the first thing we're gonna talk about.
Okay, BET Midnight Love was from 85 to 2005.
Midnight Love, baby, honey. Yes. Yes.
All right. Let's get to what we were talking about. All these thoughts just came in my mind.
Okay. So, my friends, the drones have gone wild. You know, there was a time, and I guess that's the 90s and early 2000s, it was girls gone wild. Well, the drones have gone wild. Incidents after incident. So one of the challenges is that everybody can have a drone. Anybody can buy a drone. Anybody can get licensed to fly a drone, so that the drones are going wild. So there's been these reports, and people are reporting around about the drones in the Northeast, all over New Jersey, more specifically, but really in the Northeast, the abundance of drones and the flights of drones, and the government multiple times have come out and said there's nothing to be concerned about. Now, whether we believe that or not, the truth is it's kind of like the guns. If everybody can get licensed to carry a gun, then a lot of people gonna have and be having guns and shooting guns. If everybody can get licensed to fly a drone, they're going to have buku drones out there. And that's what's happening. And then now in the Northeast, now they have the people who, trying to get them a felony charge by taking their laser pointers, trying to point out drones in the sky and disrupting the air traffic and, trying to blind the pilots. And it's like, once again, everybody don't need every damn thing. I'm of the mindset that, certain tools or toys don't belong in the hand of everyday people. And because what we've learned from this election and all the data as they continue to dig in the data is that majority of people is uneducated. And they ain't getting thoroughly educated on how to fly a drone or properly use firearms. Therefore, they don't need neither one. Now, I would say leave it to the professionals, but then we had this incident here in the City Beautiful where they were doing the holiday drone show, because now Disney is also moving into drone shows and not doing the fireworks. So they were having their holiday drone show, and some drone fell out the sky. I know at least one person was injured by a drone falling out the sky and hitting this person. But literally, it was like, I was like, okay, so did y'all not charge? Did y'all not check the battery? Did y'all not check the charge on them things before y'all decide to do a show? And then you had to cancel your second show. So I don't even know if some of the professionals are qualified and should be flying these things. But I don't know. What say you, sister?
Well, I'm trying to see, because I feel like there was on America's Got Talent. On America's Got Talent, they like the team that won they had drones, and I thought, okay, hold on. I'm just not gonna deal with this tonight.
What, that camera?
Yeah. All right, sorry. You're gonna have to see a less good. The resolution is not as high, but so I saw on AGT like the drone folks won, and I thought that was weird because I didn't know that was necessarily a talent in the traditional sense of a talent, I guess. But years ago, when I was still living in my apartment here, I kept hearing this buzzing sound outside of my door, outside of my balcony actually. And I would hear the buzzing, but I wouldn't see anything. And finally one day I saw it, and it was a drone, and I immediately went downstairs and was about to, and it was a kid, but I was about to give him all the business.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And I basically just let him know he needed to stop flying that drone so close to my apartment, because I don't need you. Like, it was like level with my balcony. So if I had the blinds open or something, you could see through into my house and stuff. And I was just like, maybe some people don't realize how intrusive they can be if they're not thinking. And so I think that, look, drones have a lot of usages that I think are awesome. But to your point, people have to be responsible, and there needs to be checks and balances, and there needs to be rules of engagement. And everybody can't operate drones because everybody doesn't take into consideration how flying a drone impacts somebody else's privacy.
Right.
And I wanted to take a rock and just throw it at the drone. And if I had done that and broke the little boy's gift, he probably would have been upset. But for me, I would have felt like I was well within my rights, because why are you flying the drone
near your window?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And my mother feels like there's one outside of our house now, because she's like, something keeps flying every night around this time and da-da-da. And you just wonder, why would people do certain things? But you also can't put nothing past folks. So.
Well, they do it because they can. And I think that at the end of the day, that's it. Just because you can do something don't mean you should do something. Just because you can have access to certain things don't mean you should have access to certain things. And I know I am always careful and leery about the using the word should, because I don't, but limits, controls, like orders of operation. There are reasons that we have those things, and a certain level of expertise. And we've gotten away from expertise. Like anybody can have anything and have access to anything. And then we're wondering, oh, well, why is this happening? Oh, why is a 15-year-old shooting people in Wisconsin? Oh, because everybody has access to guns, and she's on the internet communicating with some older man. And it's just just because we can do stuff don't mean we should. Just because your child can be on a device don't mean they should be on that device. And those are things where we have to think about and do better. That's the point I'm at. Just like do better.
Well, I'm just surprised with the ones in New Jersey. I was just surprised that there weren't more ramifications and consequences, because the drone was, I believe, near military installations, and that just seems like it's irresponsible.
Well, again, everybody is an investigative reporter. Everybody thinks that they, again, this their country, so they can do whatever they want to do, right?
That's what they say, girl.
That's what they say. Girl, okay, so speaking of their country, here we go again. Now, we have promised y'all that we are not going to spend all of our time talking about this foolishness that is about to ensue in our federal government. However, we were on the verge of another government shutdown. We're going to be on the verge of another one in March. Why? Because Congress never does their job and nobody holds them accountable, and y'all keep electing the same fools over and over again. And so we on the verge. Now, Mike Johnson, you done bent over, done contorted, done did all the things to be the favored son after those 15 votes that they did to oust Kevin McCarthy. And now come January, they gonna oust your ass.
Yeah, that's why he's contorting.
He continues to contort. But what's gonna happen? What happened when, look, Kevin McCarthy contorted too. And Matt Gaetz was one of the primary people who wanted to get rid of Kevin McCarthy. And now what? He's going to be on a TV show. He's going to have his own TV show.
Don't tell me. What is it going to be on Fox?
No, it's not. Let me find out.
Max, which one?
TV show or podcast? Which one do you want?
I knew it was going to happen because, of course, he got to stay in the mist and the mix. And albeit he shouldn't have been in the positions he was in the first place. Anyway, I don't want to talk about him because I want to understand why we are never going to see that investigation, what they found. They need to put that out. You want to keep coming up in the public eye, you want to keep putting yourself out there, then we need to know what's up. What were the findings?
Mm-hmm. He's going to be on OAN.
That's what I mean. I knew one of them was going to give him something.
So, but nonetheless,
we're going to not give these people their money right before the holidays.
So, of course, I don't know the exact count, but of course, they passed the bill. They did some maneuvering. They passed some other bills because they were going to strip out. They were going to strip out the thing about supporting childhood cancer, and so they did that as a separate bill so that funding for that can go. They were going to not fund because again, the budget was not, we never have a full budget. We never have a complete budget for the year. So it's all these continuing resolutions. So the outstanding money that people like with FEMA and SBA and all the situations to deal with these major hurricanes that we've had and where people are still trying to recover. Yeah, that money wasn't going to be there either. Like they were willing to put all of that at risk. Why, sister?
Well, they wanted to do it all to make sure that it could be a blemish on the Biden administration. And so then when this dude and his the new president and his Vice President Trump could have they would be able to say they fixed it in their administration. Because clearly JD Vance has evaporated. I have not seen nor heard. I'm wondering if he was a hologram. Was he really ever there? Now it's just Lil Donald and Lil Elon just running through the fields, holding hands. I said, well, where JD at? So y'all just kicked him to the curb already? Like, how much must they say, we don't mess with you? You have not even been, they haven't even been inaugurated yet.
Right. And we ain't seen hair, no hide. Maybe in the news. Let me look. Where's JD Vance today? Let's say, you know, you Google.
And since they wanted to always be asking about where Kamala Harris was, I guarantee you.
Look, I'm searching in Google, and one of the frequent searches is, where is JD Vance these days?
Right. He ain't even got in office yet, and we can't find you.
Oh my gosh.
So now Donald Trump is going to be vice president and Elon Musk is going to be president. And we're going to legislate on Elon's platform. And I'm not even going to say what it formerly was known as, because you destroyed that. So let's call it what it is. It's X. Mm-hmm. So we're going to X. Send our X messages out in the world and legislate. And these fools gonna be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, we're not gonna pass this bipartisan budget. We're not gonna pass it because our masters told us not to.
But I will say, so let's give some credit. They did come through and they did pass. And of course, they needed Democratic support, as they did the last time, as Mike Johnson needed Democratic support to get and
they did, and they passed it because ultimately the poor uneducated people who voted for him, as they always doing stuff to try to hurt who they think they're gonna hurt, and they end up hurting their constituents.
Right.
We're gonna realize, oh, they were gonna get a clue. Oh man, I didn't get my check.
Right.
So yeah, I'm tired of them already. And I'm like, it ain't even been but a month and a half that y'all not even in office. That's what's killing me. Why am I hearing about y'all? You are not even in office. I don't know why I have to hear you or hear about you.
Right.
Give me a break. I'm waiting to, it's bad enough you got to come up in this camp on MLK Day. Okay.
Woo! Yeah. How many times you think they're gonna evoke MLK?
After Bernice and them then said, don't do it.
Keep my daddy name out your mouth.
Keep my daddy name out your mouth, and it's gonna be so much.
Girl, they gonna be evoking his name on that. Ooh, if he evoke his name during that inauguration speech, I'm just gonna holler. Well, I'm not watching it, so
you're not gonna watch it, but you're gonna hear about it because you're gonna holler because it's gonna happen.
Girl, what? And I ain't talking about the women that's going on the 18th.
What they going on there on the 18th?
Girl, you know they doing they march again.
For what? You didn't march your ass to the no, you did. I'm sorry. You did march to the polls.
Mm-hmm.
You just voted against your own well-being. So
well, maybe the women who are marching didn't do that, but they didn't get their sisterin. Because there's brethren. Where's the word for sisterin? What's the word for that? I don't know. They ain't getting them other chicks to vote.
They didn't. And now when we looking at you and y'all, we looking at you sideways, and now you talking about you want to get some bracelets from Party City. I know people didn't say from Party City, but you want to get some bracelets from Party City so we could identify which ones are y'all. No, I don't trust it. You're just gonna buy a bunch of bracelets in bulk. I don't trust you. Mm-mm. I don't trust you're gonna do the right things. So why are you marching? And please don't get another pussy hat.
Oh, girl, you know, well, what kind of hat can they have? Maybe they're gonna do a uterus hat this time, or fallopian tube hat.
How about just let's not do it? We just stay home, save your money. Because I mean, at this point, clearly the that's not changing anybody's mind, or that's not changing legislation, or that's not Joe Biden did what we needed Joe Biden to do. Joe Biden said, let me get these 61 folks, let me get these Black women in on this court for these lifetime appointments. That's what we need. I don't need you to march and try to convince me that you're down for the cause because the numbers suggest that you're not.
Come on with it. But here we go again. It hasn't even started. The term hasn't even begun, and it is FNF already. And if y'all don't know what FNF stands for, look it up. But I will say this.
Term. We needed to coin it. We needed to copyright or trademark or whatever the proper thing is.
Listen, the FNF has ensued, but this is one thing. We don't have to be involved. We can keep our peace. I watched the news this week for the first time since November. And I soon quickly realized, other than the weather report, and I can get that on my phone from AccuWeather, I'm not doing it. I will get, if there's major things, but not gonna do it. I'm just not gonna do it because it serves no purpose right now, other than to have you scratching your head. And so this morning, as I shared with you in our pre-show as we're preparing, one of those head scratching moments was this morning because I turned it on this morning. They did a little, the NBC little Sunday morning thing. They did a little Life Well Lived, and that was Nikki Giovanni who they was talking about. So I wanted to see that little piece. Mm-hmm. And I learned something new about her. I learned that she was she organized SNCC on the campus of Fisk, which I didn't know that she was one of those organizers. But I know that she was a poet. I know that she was a professor of literature and English, and she was an activist. I knew all of those things, but I still learned something new about her.
Yeah.
But they were breaking down, they were talking about the political divide in this country. And we said, it's not a 50-50 country. You have a third of people who vote, a third of people who vote Republican, a third of people who vote Democrat, and a third of people who stay home. And that trend seemed to hold based on the numbers. But we also, Steve Kornacki in his khakis was breaking it down. What they did show is the divide is educated versus not educated. Mm-hmm. And I thought education was important to us as a country. It was a value. It was a virtue. Clearly, it is not, because the uneducated repeatedly vote against their own interests, and they elect people like Elon Musk's friend and MGT.
which means that's why education is important, because what they're doing.
But it means also why education, public education, is under assault, and college education is being poo-pooed. Like, you don't need to go to college. No, you don't need to do a lot of things, but there are things that you learn in terms of maturity, in terms of self-actualization, in terms of learning how to work with other people. There are a lot of things that you learn in that journey and that experience that are invaluable.
More than that, you learn critical thinking skills. And at the end of the day, public education is under attack because we have an economic divide in this country, and that economic divide is largely follows racial lines. And if you have to pay to play, they know that a certain type of people will be able to pay for education K through 12. And then we already know that college education is largely unaffordable, even for the middle class. Yep. So again, the people who can pay to play are in the upper echelons, and most of them, or a lot of them, have a tendency to vote just singularly about how is it going to impact their finances. Not all, but a lot of them do. And again, everything else kind of falls to the economic disparities. And so, I mean, poor white people have been convinced long ago that as long as they're not poor anything else, that they're better. And so thus they continue to side with those and vote against their own interests, because at the end of the day, like I try to explain to people, and I said this to one of my friends recently, I said, I'm always perplexed that when we think about poverty in this country, when people are considered impoverished, their goal is to get out of poverty. Right. So whether that's playing the lottery, whether that's getting an education, whatever they think that is going to get them out of poverty, their goal is to get out of poverty. Once they have gotten out of poverty, how often do they say, now let's address the causes of poverty? No, now it's, I got out, so you should be able to get out too. And that's my challenge. We want to, everybody wants to get, nobody wants to be poor, but nobody talks about eradicating poverty. Nobody talks about, or not enough people are talking about, how do we change the conditions that create poverty in the wealthiest country in the world?
Right.
And if you keep people impoverished and you keep them uneducated, then you can continue to feed them the narrative that you are in this position and in this predicament because of them, whoever them is for you.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And I would say we better start thinking about, from a K through 12 perspective, how are we going to educate our children in schools that are not like the traditional school systems? If cohorts getting together, those pods that we talked about, a lot of the things that we talked about during the pandemic. How are we going to educate our children when we know there's an assault on K through 12 public education? And then from there, listen, again, I say it, I will continue to say it. I need y'all to send y'all kids to HBCUs. If you're Black, I need you to send them to HBCUs. There are, majority, Native tribes, indigenous colleges and universities as well. There are other groups that have, and some people will say, well, that's just resegregating. No, that has to, at this point, we have to do what we have to do to preserve ourselves.
Well, it's about the psychological safety aspect for me. For that matter. And and our schools, HBCUs, my HBCU is fastly approaching its centennial. Our HBCU was founded by nuns, and of the Catholic Church. So like all HBCUs, there were not all, but many that were born out of like kind of religious institutions and you know, the Quakers and whomever else who did not necessarily support the institution of slavery, although the Catholic Church certainly did.
Right.
Yeah, those schools have always been diverse.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the other thing, that they've been trying to attack HBCUs as if our institutions haven't always been diverse. Yes, they are historically Black, but even in their historic Blackness, the teachers,
they've always welcomed everybody. It's never been, they weren't historically Black because they like historically white schools.
They weren't segregated.
Right. They weren't segregated.
Our institutions of higher learning were never segregated,
right,
but they were founded for the purpose of educating Black in this country post-slavery, right, as well as in my institution's purpose was founded to educate Black and Native American.
Right.
Period. That's it. That's all. So they were founded with that purpose, but many people of many ethnic stripe, background, region of the world and country have attended HBCUs.
Absolutely.
And I need to say that too. So for us,
you be talking about me, but you've been looking down quite a lot.
Oh, I am looking down. Anyway, I'm listen, I've been multitasking, sister. I got things that I got to get done, and I told you I was working on these Christmas cards and some stuff. Okay, I was looking down.
Let's continue the conversation. So
okay,
back to your Christmas cards.
Me too. So I told you earlier, I said, girl, you need to go read about this Blake Lively stuff. I hope you can find it and drop it in the
Let me get it. I mean, it's so much.
The actress, so there's this movie, and I said I was gonna watch it. It's called It Ends With Us, and it is about domestic abuse. And it stars Blake Lively. I can't remember the gentleman's name, who is also the co-star as well as the director of the film. Well, now
okay, I'm gonna find it.
And he now Blake has filed a formal complaint, which is the predicate to a lawsuit against him for,
by the way,
harassment, hostile work environment, amongst some other things in her complaint, as well as, I guess, it didn't say defamation, but just how this smear campaign has been garnered against her to ruin her reputation. And child, I was like, well, wait a minute. Ain't this movie about domestic violence? Like, that's the thing that was tripping me. I'm like, wait a minute. This movie is all about domestic violence. And do you not understand that that's violence? I don't know, girl.
Sometimes the people say they got to get into character. They got to really get into character, I guess.
I don't know. But you were reading it and you were like, wait a minute, hold up.
That's why I had the face when you came on. That was also part of the reason I had the face when you came on, because I'm like, say what now? 2 squared what? A plus B plus C equals what? Like, it's a lot. So Blake Lively, like you said, Justin Baldoni, apparently he's the star as well as director. She's filed some grievances or complaints against him because apparently when she complained about this sexual, I guess, I don't want to call it sexual assault.
It was
harassment allegations. Then she was also saying that they were bringing in these crisis PR companies. And then ultimately, it sounds like the idea was, we're going to create a
narrative
about her. And apparently there was some references to Justin Bieber's wife. It's just it was like a whole Here's another article, a takedown plan. It's like,
and she was able to subpoena those text messages about back and forth.
There's 1,000 pages of text message and stuff.
Yeah.
Hunty, we don't need to talk that much via text.
But that's the point. Like is you dumb, simple or stupid? Like what is it that you have the audacity to then?
So it says Lively also accused Baldoni of launching a smear campaign to destroy her reputation. Celebrities such as Taylor Swift, Leighton Meester, Anna Kendrick, Ben Affleck, Hailey Bieber, and Ryan Reynolds, who is Blake Lively's husband, are all referenced within the court document. So, like, yeah, it's according to a quote scenario planning document attached to the complaint seen by Us Weekly.
That's the part that's like, this is how we're going to do it, and we texting it back and forth. Do y'all like? I just don't like. Again, plain, simple, or stupid, or all three. Because do you not know that your text messages don't disappear? And even if you do stuff like Snapchat and whatever, you think it's disappeared. And even if you delete the shit, it don't disappear. It can be subpoenaed. A forensic expert can go in and recreate, pull out everything you've ever done. Because if it's been backed up to any cloud at any time, ever, they gonna find it.
The bottom line is, what's the craziest part about it? The craziest part about it is, it sounds like Blake Lively, prior to filing this complaint that is the precursor to the lawsuit, this gentleman, Mr. Baldoni, has been previously lauded as a quote unquote ally, as having, been supportive of women and being like an ally for the females and the like. And winning awards and stuff. And so that's what I guess would make it even more egregious. But honey, they are pulling everybody. So I guess the references to Hailey Bieber was that there was some campaign against her where people were saying that she was mean and she was hard and she was difficult to work with, different things like that. So they were gonna basically, I guess in these communication, they like, we gonna mimic that. We want you to do that.
Yeah.
Why would y'all be having them conversations?
Plain, simple, and stupid.
Here's this. In response to the hypothetical scenario that Blake subtly hints at her experience with Baldoni, it ends with Us in post-premiere coverage, either in an op-ed interview or otherwise. Baldoni's side suggested encouraging journalists to scrutinize Lively's past working relationships with the three named actors as one of the response options. And I was talking about the previous working relationships with Meester, Kendrick, and Affleck were a point of interest for Baldoni's crisis management team. So it's like, instead of us just being good people, we're just going to go on a campaign to destroy you.
And this is the thing. If you didn't feel that you had done anything wrong, why that tag?
Right.
Why this whole 1,000-page strategy? You know what I mean?
Right. And so, in
human being shit, man.
Well, in a very, very similar sort of talking about, people coming. I just want to say, I was watching Keke Palmer's podcast, and she had Lizzo on there. And so in a very similar fashion, Lizzo was accused of sexual harassment or something, workplace, just a litany of things. And she says sexual harassment. What else did it say?
I think hers had hostile work environment too, if I recall.
Yeah, I believe so. So Lizzo went on to say, okay, lawsuit alleged she experienced sexual and racial harassment. It was something about hostile work environment, overtime hours that will work unpaid. It was something about religious and racial harassment, disability discrimination, assault, and false imprisonment, among a slew of other charges. Anyway, the point was that, Lizzo was saying that it was dismissed, and she wanted to make it clear that being dismissed, why it was so important to make it clear that being dismissed is that the judges looked at the evidence and stated,
stand up. That's right.
Right. So,
but even with that situation, when it first came out, there was a lot of, hoopla, but having listened to some of it, I was like, oh, I don't know about this and where this is gonna go. But from the beginning, she voraciously denied, right? She went dark on social because she was very out there on social. She went dark on social. She denied it, and she talked about how it was impacting her mental health and how hurt she was because of all the work that she did. And again, people can lie about, tell you anything about who they are, who you think they are, what have you. But it just seemed to me, especially in her case, as you started hearing the stories from the other people, like, I don't think this one gonna stand up. I don't think this gonna make it. That's how I felt.
Well, one of the things,
and we can't never judge any of that like that, right? But this one, I'm like, when you start reading some of the
text messages and emails, that's already questionable.
It is crazy. But anyway, y'all are tuned in live with Hey Sister. We are talking about the news of the day. We were just talking about Blake Lively and the complaint that she filed against her. It ends with us, co-star and director, in another Me Too moment. We talked about how the drones have gone wild and they also fallen out of the sky. A child, we pray that child is okay here in Orlando, that because even a child was injured in this incident. But if everybody don't need to fly a drone, and please don't go out there with no laser pointer trying to point the drones and cause a airline pilot or a helicopter pilot to have an accident, because you will be caught up by the federales. We talked about, here we go again. You voted it. We're going to pray and keep our peace, but the finding out has already started. But they avoided a government shutdown. We'll see what happens on this governance front for the next 4 years. Honey, it's going to be crazy, okay? But y'all know a few weeks ago when this thing won, we said, I put the odds out, like, we, betting on like how long between him and Elon Musk is going to implode. I think you said before the inauguration happened, they're going to have an implosion. I said I would give them about 6 months.
No, I think Denise Tim, I can't remember exactly who said, listen, I don't know when it's going to happen, but what I do know is the Lincoln Project, it will happen. Lincoln Project put out this video and called that man the co-president, and the one who supposedly won, calling him the co-president, and his buddy who makes bad vehicles, the president. Hunty, listen, if the Lincoln Project just keep throwing them darts, it's gonna happen, because he can't take his ego being tested like that. He just cannot take somebody. Because again, JD Vance has clearly evaporated.
Yeah. So lastly but not least, we are going to
not last. We had 2 topics.
Oh,
what about, we supposed to be talking about Ryan and Aaron? You had me look all that up. Ryan Clark and Aaron Rodgers.
Girl, I forgot about them.
Look, you can't be having me look stuff up if you ain't gonna bring it up.
I forgot about them. Here's the thing: Aaron Rodgers lost again today, so
I guess Ryan is right.
I think he right. Let me make sure. Let me see. New.
Well, this is what I'm going to say. For those who don't know, Ryan Clark is an analyst on ESPN. Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback with the New York Jets. Apparently, he
former quarterback of the Green Bay Packers.
Apparently, he has a standing appointment on the Pat McAfee show, which is also an ESPN show.
Yeah,
he goes on saying,
buddies.
Yes, they're buds. So he goes on this show, and in true MAGA, you think you talking tough, but you're really not fashion, you throwing darts, but you're not being specific. So he goes on the show to talk about analysts speaking on things, speaking about him, I guess, and making insinuations, or as my mother likes to say, throwing slang. And so Ryan is from the boot. Am I correct?
Ryan is from the boot, so we gonna be on his side regardless. Okay, let me just say that straight out the way. He from that little where he went. Did he go to Destrehan High? He down there. Destrehan, Hornville, somewhere out there.
But anyway, so
we on his side anyway. Okay.
Yeah, so as a result, it looks. Oh no, it says he went to Archbishop Shaw in Marrero.
Okay, that's where he went to school, but that's not where he's from. I
think he's from St. Charles Parish. But anyway, it doesn't matter. He's from the boot. And the bottom line is, I'm sorry, as natives of the boot, I don't know, but I feel like you can't play it with us. Like, you can't play in our face. We just have a way of being like, oh, say what you're trying to say, which is pretty much what Ryan said to Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Like, hey, because he's talked about former players and, again, trying to make insinuations, but not calling names. So I guess Ryan was like, even though he didn't call his name, he was just like, listen, as a former player, my job is to be an analyst. Mm-hmm. And so I analyze the situations. And as long as you coming up short, I'm going to say it and I'm going to do my job. So then, I guess Aaron Rodgers decided he was going to show up back on Pat McAfee show again. Now he's doubling down. And then he's making some little responses because apparently Ryan Clark had on an RC a lapel pin that said RC.
He has a little, because he knows about branding and he knows about his brand.
And so Aaron Rodgers made another. Now he doubles down on his comments. Now he want to throw vaccination in there. So, let me know your vaccine status before you say something. So the insinuation is as if you've been vaccinated for COVID, that somehow you're not an intelligent person and you can't make certain arguments or you can't speak on certain topics. So that was the insinuation. Then he added something about wearing a brooch. Mm-hmm. So now we know who you really throwing a dart, but still not calling a name. And again, so Ryan is like, okay, let me tell you who I am.
Let me run my Carfax.
Right. And apparently in an almost 5-minute post on Elon Musk's platform, he says, basically, I am Ryan Clark. I have as many Super Bowls wins as you do. This is what I play, where I play. And yes, I am vaccinated because I no longer have a spleen or a gallbladder. And
a gallbladder or a spleen. That's right.
Mm-hmm. And I am vaccinated. But again, and he just read him down, as we would say, read him for filth. And then basically said, and as long as you continue to be like narcissistic and
reckless with your mouth.
Right. If it got something to do with my job, I'm going to speak on it.
Bam. Because
And
that's
if
my
you,
job.
because that's my job. And if you want to say something, if you want to call names, call names. But like, don't be trying to beat around the bush. And so I saw another gentleman on a different show. He went and he called him everything but the child. He called Aaron Rodgers all kind of things too.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want to see if Aaron Rodgers is going to try to clap back at that dude. I have to find his name.
And I did not watch the documentary, but because again, I remember, like, I don't know, Shailene Woodley, who was in the Divergent movies, was his girlfriend for a hot minute. They have all these girlfriends for a hot minute. Who he has none of these girlfriends no more,
right?
And apparently he speaks on his behavior, and but she called out the toxicity of who he was and is,
right?
And so apparently, and this was the other thing, because apparently his whole family don't mess with him. So when nobody mess with you,
RFK Jr.,
it might be you. When nobody rides with you, it might be you anyway.
And I will say this: we will not know until he goes to glory. However, I'm going to believe anytime you are sitting here and thinking that it is an insult to people who are vaccinated, when you think that's just not the flex that you think it is, Aaron. So when you think you're insulting people's intelligence because they've been vaccinated, I just will wait until we find out about whether or not you have CTE.
Well, I'm not even gonna wait for that. Let me tell you what's gonna happen.
I mean, I'm gonna wait for it because I have to believe this is the reason why
I would not be surprised if he retires after this season, because this season was supposed to be the comeback season. Because again, him leaving Green Bay was a big to-do, and him going to the Jets, and then he was hurt the first year because he had that Achilles injury. He came back from it. This was supposed to be the year, and as Ryan ran down, their record is the same as it was when you wasn't there. So
no, their record is worse.
Oh, the record is worse than when you wasn't there. Yeah, because they lost today. So now their record is worse than you were when you were not playing. And
he's the 21st QB in the league. He said
I would not be surprised if he retires and runs for public office and win.
Oh no, I wouldn't be surprised either.
How about that?
I also know his behavior.
Hell, he might be the ambassador to Finland, because if Herschel Walker has been appointed to be the ambassador to the Bahamas, I mean, So send him where the Vikings were in what? Iceland. He might be the ambassador for Iceland, girl, or Greenland, Newfoundland, one of them lands.
Well, this is what I'm saying. You mentioned Green Bay. His behavior to me mimics that of Brett Favre's. And so we know Brett Favre has come out and said that he has Parkinson's. Mm-hmm. So that I feel like so when he dated Shailene Wood, whatever, her, when he dated her, when they broke up, that's when it really felt like he like something snapped. Took a turn. And so yeah. So I mean, in the very, very similar way that Brett Favre has now unfortunately been diagnosed with this disease, I would not be surprised if Aaron Rodgers is experiencing CTE. So there's that.
Well, there's that, and there you have it. We are coming to the end of our show. We had one more thing to talk about, and that's the 688 film that is on Netflix.
That's only 2 8s. That ain't triple.
Oh, Lord. Let me edit that, girl. Listen. Oh, let me edit that. There you go. The 688. The film is on Netflix. It is about the all-Black female battalion that actually did go to Europe during World War II. They were part of the Women Army Corps. They actually were in the combat zone. There's a documentary about it on Tubi. I just was flipping through, and so prior to this movie coming out, I went ahead and watched that documentary. And so and in that documentary, it says, "Oh, Tyler Perry is in, post-production work for a film about this." So the film is available. It is on Netflix. It has historical context. We have a friend who shared that her cousin was one of the members of the 688 World War II battalion, and that history is very important for all of us to learn and know. I am not going to comment on what I think about the film.
All right. Well, I'm just going to put this post here from Instagram. It is about Charity Adams, who is depicted by Kerry Washington in the film. I did not know she was a Wilberforce University, I guess, graduate.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I learned, I feel like this. At the end of the film, I learned a lot of things. And I love seeing the actual footage.
The actual footage is the end of the film with the actual footage and the credits. All of that made me want to cry.
Yes. I will say the very last scene made me want to cry because I'm like, we as Black women are constantly saving this republic.
Mm-hmm.
We are constantly doing things to make this a more perfect union. Mm-hmm. And yet we are constantly criticized, over-sexualized,
berated,
abused.
Oh, we not smart.
Yes. It was like in that last scene and the historic footage, I was like, I really do want us to take the break that we're saying we're going to take. I really do.
I want the 92% to.
We have done enough.
Enjoy the fruits of the labor. Be in community. Celebrate, demonstrate the resilience and the strength, and love on each other.
I love seeing, and we didn't talk about this, our Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson on Broadway. This is what I need for us.
Yes. Get your joy, girl. Get your peace.
Get your joy. Get your peace. Soft awakenings in the morning. Gentle wind downs at night. More girls trips, more vacations. Okay, get our passport game up, and let these people who want to clown, but be willing to bounce if necessary, because we have been too good. And too often we are just treated so poorly.
Right. Gonna give me an impossible job and give me 6 months to do with no support. And then I do that shit in 90 days. And then what you want? Right. You want me to do more?
And with that,
we are signing off. We want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. We want you to take time to enjoy your family. If you celebrate Hanukkah, which also begins on the 25th, we want to say Happy Hanukkah. And for those of you who celebrate Kwanzaa, beginning the day after Christmas, we want to say Happy Kwanzaa. And if you are a Seinfeld fan, then I say Happy Festivus for the rest of us.
Yes.
Peace.
Bye.